Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at input and output, which are undoubtedly fundamental parts of a computer. So imagine that you've got a computer that looks like this. It's going to be pretty useless if it's got no input and output. It will just run and you have no idea whatsoever what's going on unless you can magically interpret what's happening inside. However, there are some computers that have no input. So this is a picture of the Cray XC40 supercomputer that predicts the weather. And the input for this aren't really text that we're going to be looking at in Python. Instead, it collects data from sensors all over the world. So how do you get an input in Python? Well, it's very simple. You just use the input command. And you can see that it says prompt in the middle, and that's because you can display a message when asking for an input. And then, of course, it used to be raw input. So they've made it even simpler over the past few years. So now let's have a look at that. So I'm going to input something. Let's say the user's name, because you probably would at some stage need to know your user's name. So I'm going to type an input and then put the brackets, and it wants a prompt. So this is going to be what is your name? And the reason I've got the quotation marks around it is because it's text, and we'll have a look at that actually a bit more in the next video, but now you just have to accept that. We're going to run it, so I'll press F5, run it as a Python file, wait for it to set up the environment, and there we go. What is your name? So I'm going to type in George. So currently that's not very useful. It just asks for an input and then does nothing with it. And we're not going to look at how you can store that yet. That'll be the next video, but there are useful things you can do with that. I will have a look at that a bit later. So the next command I want to have a look at is the output. And if you have a door system with a key card, then that doesn't really have an output in the sense of text like Python does. You put your card in and then a door unlocks, which is an output, but Python can't unlock doors. So this command is a bit more complicated, and I like to remember it by thinking of a printer, because a printer is an output statement, and it's print, and that looks insanely complicated compared to our input command, but we're going to go over it a little bit at a time. So we're going to start by just printing some text, because this is what you're going to do most of the time. So let's say I want to say hello. I'm going to print, and then again I want the quotation marks, and I'm just going to put hello. I'm going to run this, and we see hello. You may remember we did hello world in the last video, and at this stage it's pretty much the same. So let's print something else, and again it's given me all the keys. So let's say I want to print more than one thing. So I'm going to say hello on the first line, and then on the next line I'm going to print goodbye, and run that, and hello and goodbye. And we're going to actually have a look at this print statement a bit further, because this here is quite interesting and most people don't actually know how to use it. So I'm going to print something else. We're going to print both things at the same time. So we're going to print hello, and then we're going to add a comma because we're printing something else, and then goodbye. And again we'll run it, and we've got the hello and goodbye from before, and then hello, goodbye. And you notice that there's a little space there. It actually says here sep, the separator, is equal to a space. So we're going to change that, and we're going to instead put a dash. So we're going to say the sep is equal to, and then again we need quotation marks because it's still text, and we're going to put a dash. And just to make it a bit clearer, I'm going to delete this bit at the top and run it again. And there we go, it's now separated by a dash, and we could obviously put more in there, but let's keep going. So we're going to print hello and then goodbye again like we did before, but this time I don't want them to be on separate lines, because usually it will set them up to be on separate lines. You can see the end command is this new line character. And so let's say instead of the new line character, I want the end to be another dash. So we'll put a dash in again and we'll run it. And you can see that this time there's a dash.
I'd also like to show you the flush command as well as the file command. However, my operating system doesn't support flush. However, if I had a Raspberry Pi, I could show you on that. And then for file, the default is the sys.out, and that's the standard output. However, I haven't got another file which I can use to show you.
But as you'll notice, the title of this lesson was Joke Machine. So now we're going to create a joke machine. So I'm going to get an input, and my input is going to be the setup line of my joke. So I'm going to say, someone stole my Microsoft account, and they're going to pay. And then I'm going to print the punchline. And obviously looking at it in code, that's not funny, but if we put it into our program, then you see that it waits for an input. So if I say, that sounds good, then it'll finish with the punchline. And if you didn't like the joke, don't worry, but hopefully you've learned a lot and you're now confident using input and output in Python. See you again then, same time next week. Thank you.